towards 86. Operation Firewood, Daffodil, those ones. We again deployed in Angola, and I was the squadron commander deployed at the Sector 10 Armoured Car Squadron at Oshikati. We got the task to do area operations between Ongiva and Zangongu, because we know that the FAPLA and them are doing lock convoys from Kahama down to Ongiva. We were a full squadron, armoured cars in the 90s and 60s, mixed, 4 troops. I had a first fire group mechanized 81 radels. We didn't even really know how to aim with these things. We used it actually as 81 mortars from the back of a radel. And we were deployed with 101. Kobus van der Berg, he was the company commander. And then they said they're expecting a convoy running from Kahama down to Ongiva, and it's a lock convoy, and we must do an ambush between Zangongu and Ongiva. We went over, and I know at that stage, very strange, that the command vehicle I had for the elands was a Casper. I created this command vehicle for myself with big maps at the back, and it works very well, and my firepower was 2 Browning machine guns on top. So we got this task to do an ambush in that area, so we went late afternoon to the tar road, and I remember I got out there, and so now we're looking for a space out where to do this ambush. So I got to the road, and you know how the Shonas are, and there's little low water bridges, and I saw in this road, this small little bridge was blown. So you could see that they moved around it. And I said to myself, well, if it's our guys and we're moving on a road, and the first guy get to this hole in the road where the bridge is blown, he will stop and the rest will just bundle up very close. And I said to myself, but this is a perfect position for an ambush. While standing there, we got information on the radio. The guy said, but there's our movement on the road coming down, and somebody said it's PT-76s. I said, oh my goodness, I mean, that's a light tank. And I was running that day, you know, to get back to the armored cars, because I was on foot now doing the recce for the position. And I was never been that tired, not even on a 2,4, but in the tank suit, running back to my vehicles and get them ready in the firing formation, and actually nothing happened. Then we realized there was a gas vehicle coming down the road. So I told France de Blanche, say, get your 90 onto the road and wait for this truck coming. So he's coming. And then France de Blanche actually shot the Ural head on, because it was an enemy vehicle. Then we pulled back the night, and late that night, we moved into the position for the ambush. So I had 2 troops in the death arc, and then 1 troop was deployed north towards Zangongu, Mongua actually, was between Mongua and Ongiva, to the northern side of the road, so as an early warning. And I had 1 troop in depth, and then the other 2 troops with the infantry between them. So we were waiting for this ambush to happen. And I think it was around 4 in the morning. The first radio silence came in, and the early warning troop said, there are 21 wheels coming past. She said, but now we can't actually talk on the radio. And I said to the guys, 21 wheels. So I thought it was an intercontinental missile vehicle with lots of vehicles in it. And they said, confirm 21 wheels. I said, 21 vehicles. I said, oh goodness, that's a big difference. So I said, what's the vehicles like? And then they said, it's a BRDM, and then lock vehicles, and then BRDM, BTR, he named it. Everything was set up. The infantry was between the armored cars. And now we're listening. We can hear they're coming in. But then they also had some problems in the vehicles. Then you hear this car, up, and he stops. And you hear somebody with a hammer or a spanner. Tang, 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 tang. Here's the vehicle. Now you're waiting for them to be in there. And then he starts again, and he carries on again. So they also had some fuel problems with the vehicles. So he got into the arc fire, and France de Blanche, he opened the ambush. He was standing on the end, and it happened exactly like I said it would happen. The first vehicle got to this blown breach, and all the other vehicles just bunched up behind him. Because why is this guy now stopping? You know, they didn't keep their distance and what. So we had a huge lot of vehicles inside the death arc. France de Blanche, he opened fire, and then, I mean, the ambush went on for a while. I remember one stage I was just behind France's vehicle, and he had a look to his left, and he saw a vehicle burning. So he jumped out of his vehicle, running towards this vehicle, because he thought it was one of his cars that got fire or got hit or whatever. He jumped out of his 90, said to his gunner, carry on with the Browning, and he jumped out in this chaos of fire and whatever. He was running towards this because I think his Bravo car or whatever standing close to him. And as he got to the vehicle and he wanted to get onto the vehicle, it was a burning BRDM. So he realized, oh, sorry, it's the wrong vehicle.
Go back.
So he ran back. And then I remember so well standing at the back, and you hear all this firing, and I could also hear that they fired Saggers because I could hear them flying over us. Flying over us. So we hit the first lot of vehicles. Then the second half, they turned around, drove back to Mongoa side. And that's where the early warning group again caught them. We shot out, I think, 18 or 19 vehicles of the 21. Some of them also went off the road towards the northern side. And we had one infantry guy, lieutenant. He was shot in the shoulder with an AK. Like he told him, when that shot hit him, he flew back 3-4 meters just by that impact. And the other one was the RPG gunner of the 101. While he was loading, before he could take his hands away, the guy fired. So he got a little bit of burns on his hands and whatever. And that was the only casualty on our side. And then we picked up on the radio that they, from Ongiva side, they want to counter fire with BM 2021. So between me and Cobus, we said, no, pull back. So we just pulled back 2 kilometers. And then with first light again, we moved forward to see what is happening in this. And we saw that, it was chaos, but there was, again, one vehicle. It was a Ural, but a 100,000 liter after. And there was the one after him, it was just full of holes, but not the tanks at the back. The other one was loaded full of food and beer and all that stuff. So
you cannot shoot that.
The troop said to me, please, can. And then I had this thing in my back of my mind, the BM-21 is on its way. And I said to the 90s, come forward, get the target. So that was one of the biggest explosions I saw in my life. 100,000 liters diesel bunker going up in flames. And of course, a lot of foam when we hit the beer truck. And I think there were a couple left. And we called in the Air Force, the imps. So I was standing on top of my Casper. So we're talking on the radio. And I think Cobus was talking to them on the radio. And the next month, that imps, treetop high.
They were just there.
They over us. But man, I got a fright. I dived from my Casper, and it's high. So I dived down. So the imps came in, and the vehicles that was off the road to the northern side, they took them all out. So all the 21 vehicles in that ambush was destroyed. I think one of the biggest successes that SSB had in that time.
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.